Hi, welcome to the Intervention channel, or welcome back. My name is Steve Bruno, and the topic of this video is the functioning addict or alcoholic. I've heard this term, I don't know, for many years. I think probably not very few among us have not at some point come across the term of the functioning alcoholic, and especially working in the treatment industry with respect to people's families. Some family members say, look, he drinks, a half a bottle of scotch a day, and then he chases it with a six-pack of beer. And the argument that comes back is, well, okay, but he's functional. I mean, he's got his job, he takes care of things. And the reality is that this guy is drinking socially, and in all likelihood drinking covertly or secretly, in addition to all of this. And if any of you can put away a half a bottle of scotch and a six-pack of beer and believe that you're functioning, you and I have a great disparity in terms of our definition of what functional actually means. And that's the thrust of this video, or the reason that I decided to make a video on this, at least a short discussion about it, a one-way discussion nonetheless. What I ask families is, when did their standards drop so low that for someone that they love and care about, who is not shining anymore, not bright anymore, whose edges and corners and the stuff that made him, or her, alive and really seem alive is all shaved off, sanded off, blurred. The edges are blurred, the shine is dulled. When did our standards drop so low? When did your standards drop so low that that's okay? And that's acceptable. And it may be acceptable to you. I think that if there is an opportunity to get someone like that to recover, you need to reach for it and participate in it. That's just my opinion, because I've seen people like that. In fact, even in my own immediate relationships, there was someone very close to me who was high all the time, every hour of every day. And he would wake up, get stoned, and be stoned all through his work, in his relationships, with his girlfriends. It was always being stoned. With family visits, it was always being stoned. When I would go and visit him, it was always being stoned, constantly trying to get me high, and at work, constantly being high. But he was working. He had girlfriends, he had a house and all of this. But then he stopped, legitimately stopped, for about 9 months. And man, he was a whole different person. He went back to school, he was doing really well in his studies, he was getting straight A's, he went back to college, he's my age, he was in his 50s. He went back to college, he was getting really good grades, he was happy, he wanted to work on our relationship. I was like, you want to do what? You want to work on our relationship? Okay, it was just a surprise. And he was very shiny and bright and active and alive. He was vibrant. He was a pleasure to be around. And then he, 9 months later, you could tell when he started up again. And he just became this sort of dull cog in his own sort of wheel of life, and sort of just spun around and did his thing. And he'd make the family visits, and he'd be social-ish. He had relationships, which one would fall apart one after the other. And I looked at this pattern, and then the other thing was, we weren't working on our relationship anymore. He wasn't in school anymore. He wasn't doing anything anymore. He was just doing nothing. There's a South Park episode, of all things, where if you're familiar with South Park, it's about these kids, and it's a cartoon, and it's an adult cartoon. It's about these kids who live in South Park, Colorado, and they have all these funny adventures, and it's for adults. I mean, it's rather profane and different things. But they had this episode. They were Emmy Award-winning episodes of that show, and one of the episodes, the parents hired actors to portray the kids having come back from the future to warn them about the dangers of drugs, right? That was this sort of funny plot. This is the plot. And so Stan, one of the main characters, asks the actor, whom he believes has come back to the future as himself, to warn himself about the dangers of drugs. He says, well, what about pot? And the guy says, you know, the danger with pot is that it makes it okay to do nothing. It makes you feel okay with doing nothing, with just being bored and being a sort of a, I don't know what exactly he said, it's sort of a puddle on the couch. And when you could be learning something, a science subject, music, or something like that, you're not. And that's the real shame with drugs like that and with the, quote, functional alcoholic, is that they could be so much more. Really, I've observed it, and if they get cleaned up, you just watch. Hopefully you'll participate if you have your doubts about the functional alcoholic. And alcoholics, if their defense system is to maintain a job, then they're going to hang on to that job for dear life because it enables them to justify what they're doing, which is to be an alcoholic. So, you know, if you're tempted to just walk away because the guy's got a job, stop walking. Think about this, about how much better their life could be, and how much better your life would be, and everybody's life would be, and how much they would thank you at some point later on for helping them recover. Okay, there's a whole chapter in my book. It's called More Than Hope, about functional alcoholics, the same basic subject, expanded upon. At the end of this video, you'll see a graphic, and there'll be a subscribe button there. You're welcome to subscribe. I've got a lot of videos coming up, interviews, all sorts of exciting things. And there's the next video. You can click on that, see what the subject is, or click on any of the subjects, and hopefully I have helped to enlighten you. This is all designed to educate you. If you want to write to me, you can visit my website, stevebruno.com. You fill out the contact form. My phone number is on there. You can text me or or call me. If you'd like to ask a question which everyone will see the answer to, do so in the comments section below. And thank you for visiting. Thank you for visiting the Intervention channel. My name is Steve Bruno, and thank you for watching.